This is Terry Fontenot's best draft. We'll stop.
We were all like,
What?
but you are.
Cute
They're not
spell.
getting cuter.
Not getting cuter.
Okay.
It sounds like me being like, I don't want to be a blonde.
Correct.
Happy Thanksgiving, Falcons fans. Welcome back to the Friday Five. We hope everybody has grabbed a plate of leftovers and they've settled down to listen to a little bit of Falcons talk heading into Sunday's game against the New York Jets. But before we dive into today's show, a reminder that Pro Bowl voting has commenced, and the Falcons have a lot of interesting candidates. Terrin and I were trying to talk through some of that this morning about, all right, who conceivably could make it? Well, you can make your voice heard on who you think should make it. You can go to atlantafalcons.com/Pro Bowl to vote for your favorite Falcons. You can also vote on social using the hashtag, or you can check out this QR code that we have on screen right now. And vote there. I have no idea if that's actually going to fit into the window, so go check YouTube. Yeah, I'm going up here. I'm going to go over here. Let's see how many QR codes we can get on the screen. Let's put one on front of Tori's face.
Make it bounce like the DVD sign.
Yes, I love that. Mm-hmm. Yes, Jared, a movable QR screen. Let's go. So if you want to vote on the Pro Bowl or the players that you think should make it, those are all the ways that you can do so. But we're going to start now with our question of the day, which you guys can check out on the Atlanta Falcons TikTok feed anytime you want to. So Tori, you want to cue us up?
Yeah, so it's actually not a question, it's more of like a can you do this thing. It's a reflex game. So from what I've seen, what I've been told is essentially it's one of those things where you have the poles and you don't know when they're going to drop, and once they drop you have to catch them. It's kind of like what F1 and NASCAR drivers use to like hone in and hone in their reflexes.
It's like you're catching like icicles or
Yeah.
something is almost what it looks like, or like wind chimes.
Yeah, so the question, since we don't have the game with us, we're not going to play, but like who on the
would be
team
awesome.
do we think had the best reflexes, or if you were to line them all up, like who would? I think I have a good answer, but I'll let y'all go first.
I'm going to go with Jake Matthews.
Really?
Wow, I was wondering where would like offensive line, defensive line fit into this?
I think about the fact that he has like so much experience. He's also very like, the word I want to say is organic when it comes to his recovery, that I feel like this type of game is something he just has at home to like practice on, and then having a kid, multiple kids too, that he's probably sharp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's probably a receiver or a defensive back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go, man. I think I'm making this like just decision in real time because it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say like Mike Hughes. You know,
Okay,
it's probably
yeah.
somebody off like the radar a little
Yeah.
bit, but has like stuck around in the league for a long time. Veteran, worked at a lot of different spots, probably been exposed to a lot of different things, and that like cross training probably does just help your hand-eye coordination, your reflexes, reaction time, all of that stuff. So. Yeah, we got an offensive lineman, and then we got a cornerback. What say you?
Yeah, I was going to go with the receiver as well, because I think just like hand-eye coordination, the quickness of which they're making decisions in the air. But I didn't feel very convicted in that answer. And so who I did feel conviction on is Xavier Watts. And the reason why I feel Xavier Watts is because something that came up from Jesse Bates to Jerry Gray to people at Notre Dame about Xavier Watts is his instincts. And a lot of your reflexes is your instincts taking over.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if there's someone like an Xavier Watts who has this level of instinct about him, I think it makes sense that would translate to the reflex game.
I wish we could see actually like who like
did
we haven't
what-
watched it yet, so
I
we're
know,
just sitting here kind of like
Filibustering on
we don't
who
know.
we think.
Another really good honorable mention, Lenny Creek. Because he's
explain.
very, very good at ping pong in the locker room.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. I was wondering. I
like-
had no idea where you were going with that.
Yeah.
So like,
There you
yeah.
go.
I think
okay.
only like Bradley Pinion has beat him at ping pong.
Yeah.
So that would be
Yeah.
reflexive.
I-
I mean, that's only one hand. but
Julio
you could be like,
Jones was also a former ping pong
Grab,
champ
grab, grab.
here in the locker room, so
They-
that checks out.
yeah.
With
He and
the
Deion
hand-eye.
Jones played spike ball too all the time, which is very reflex driven.
Yeah.
I love that. I love all those fun little games. So yeah, go check out the Falcons TikTok account to find out who won the reflex
who
game.
actually-
Who do you think among the three of us would win
Not
the
me.
reflex game?
I think I would win.
I'm
pretty
Your
confident.
confidence.
Yeah, I'm pretty
my
confident.
lack of.
Right, yeah, like Terrin, lack of
Instantly,
confidence.
no.
Instantly, no.
You,
Me,
yes.
Yeah, no. Something we were saying before we started recording is my dad used to have that like softball. I played softball, and I was a first baseman, and my dad had this ball with the little like nodules on it, and he would throw it like a pick, and I wouldn't know where the ball was going. So I feel pretty confident in my abilities.
I will say, anytime that you guys go to the doctor's office and you get your hearing checked, right, and they're like, okay, you're going to hear a beep. When you hear a beep, you click the little mouse to let us know. I try to click that thing so fast. So I'm always checking my reflexes.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident, too.
I don't know the last time I did that.
All right. Well, this podcast has already just taken so many turns. Let's go ahead and look at the injury situation, right?
Yeah.
It's week 13 in the NFL, so player injuries are just a part of life when you kind of get to this part of the calendar. The Falcons, of course, not immune to that. Drake London missed this past game. We'll get into kind of like what it feels like his status for Sunday should be. But before we kind of talk about the guys on the injury report, available for Sunday, not available for Sunday, let's just kind of close the chapter on Michael Penix Jr. and what he's been dealing with his knee. Terrin, you got updates for us on that?
Yes, on Wednesday during his weekly press conference, Raheem Morris did say that Michael Penix Jr. had his surgery. It was on Tuesday. Yeah, that's yesterday. And he said it went well. Zach Robinson also said he texted him after the surgery and said Penix seems to be in good spirits. So that's what you want to hear with the quarterback of your future. We didn't get an update on Billy Bowman Jr. Slipped our mind in the moment, but he did tweet saying, "First surgery ever. May the Lord guide me. Built for whatever the journey begins." And I don't think you're tweeting if it didn't go well. So that's a good sign, right? Yeah. Like, he seems to have a good mindset about it, especially knowing that it's his first is huge. But those are like the two biggest names when it comes to season-ending IR.
Yeah, for sure. So Drake, and we should preface this, it is Wednesday afternoon. We don't have the first injury report of the week yet, so a lot of this is just kind of maybe reading the tea leaves of how things will go and based on just a couple of press conferences. But what is the latest on Drake London? Do we expect to see him out there on Sunday?
Again, on Wednesday morning, that was another update we got from Raheem Morris. He said he's doubtful. He wouldn't concrete say that that's a no-go.
I feel like you rarely see doubtful. And even though that's an official designation, it's always questionable.
So I do the injury reports every single week, and I don't even think I've seen more than 2 doubtfuls.
Yeah.
And I don't even think the Falcons have been one of the 2. I think that's been other teams that have listed people as doubtful.
He did say or whatever the actual word, lay of the land, law of whatever was. I don't know what the exact phrasing, but he admitted he didn't know the exact wording for the injury report. But yeah, so Drake London remains week to week. Morris said that London is moving well. He looks good. He's happy that the Falcons will get him back soon, but they're just not sure how soon that is. So probably not Sunday in New York, a.k.a. New Jersey.
Yeah. He did say that he doesn't think it'll be this weekend.
Yeah.
He was like, as it stands right now, it probably wouldn't be this weekend.
Yeah. So, given that, how do we expect? We saw what the offense could do without Drake. Obviously, Darnell's connection with Kirk is been strong. I mean, do the Falcons need Drake in this game? How does that meaningfully impact their offense? If he's not out there?
I don't think you have to have Drake London in this game. I think if he needs another week, you're in a position where you can give him another week. And I would behoove them to do that. I think they had a good thing going with Darnell Mooney, David Sills. You had some guys stepping up, which was really nice. I believe Kirk Cousins connected with 7 different receivers over the course of the win against the Saints, which is one of those things that is what you expected. And I actually even said as I was prepping for this podcast, it's if Drake London even did come back, I actually didn't think that it would look operationally very different than what it looked like against the Saints. I still think that the goal would be spreading things out with Kirk Cousins. You still would want to run the ball with Bijan and Tyler. You still want to spread the ball out as much as possible. Maybe with Drake inserted back in, it's not 7 different receivers because Drake would he would have a number of looks as the number 1 option. And also just Drake in the red zone changes things a little bit as well. But overall, I don't necessarily feel that when it comes to Drake London in the sense of going up against this Jets defense, that you have to have his presence when in reality, it's like if he's not 100%, I wouldn't want to throw him out there knowing that you kind of have bigger fish to fry down the road.
And you have Darnell Mooney now, who's showing that he's kind of back from the injuries he's dealt with. And he and Kirk Cousins have a really strong connection. So maybe they can build on that and let Mooney do Mooney things in this last stretch of the season.
Yeah, it'll be nice if he can kind of continue to pick up his play like he started last weekend in New Orleans. Whenever Drake gets back, right, it probably won't meaningfully change the offense outside of maybe that pass distribution chart. But I think it is fair to kind of wonder if Kirk and inserting him at quarterback changed the offense, how it didn't change the offense, what is the identity of the Falcons offense, things like that.
Yeah.
And Zach Robinson was asked a lot about that on Wednesday. Raheem was asked a lot about it on Monday by you, Tori, with kind of under center and play action. And it's just been really a topic of discussion. So we should probably discuss it. But for those, under center, right, I think it's pretty obvious you're right up under center.
Yep.
Quarterback is right behind the center. Pistol and shotgun are a little bit different, right? So shotgun, quarterback is a little bit further back. Usually the running back is right next to him, or they don't have a running back at all, and he's spread out wide. Pistol is a little bit of a hybrid look. Quarterback is about 5 yards back. The running back is another 3 yards or so behind him. So you get some of that downhill look. You get some of the extra play action that is allowed for. And more importantly, Zach Robinson feels that it kind of creates that whole menu option for them with motions where you can insert blockers. I think of Charlie Warner, how often he is kind of motioned over before the ball is snapped and then like inserted off tackle or something like that. So yeah, it's just like I'm setting up this whole conversation because I want to get into what we think about like how the Falcons looked with Kirk Cousins under center, literally a little bit more than Michael Penix has. And we saw the highest play action usage rate this past Sunday by the Falcons. I think it was like 29%. That's the biggest of the season for them. And it was effective, I thought. That shot to Darnell Mooney, obviously the highlight. So
a couple checkdowns to Bajan that I think worked really well.
Yes.
Tori's been twitching to talk about this one.
She has. So let's go. Yeah, Tori, like why do you think we've seen this discrepancy between the two quarterbacks? Is there a discrepancy between the two quarterbacks?
There is. Point blank. I think that you can't look at what happened on Sunday against the Saints and say that there isn't because of how drastic I felt like the operation was. When it comes to this whole discussion about pistol, under center, play action off of either, I think actions speak louder than words in this situation, but I think words can help us prove our point. On Sunday after the game, Raheem Morris said point blank, when Kirk Cousins came off of his torn Achilles injury, quote, he felt a little bit more comfortable in pistol. So now that Kirk Cousins is, quote, back to what he's been in the past, per Morris, the offensive play style was put in place to, quote, accommodate Kirk. So we know what Kirk Cousins has been. We know what his history with kind of this under center play action has been for him throughout his entire career. So my thought process in this, and it was the reason why I understood where everybody's questions were coming from in the wake of this Saints game, was that, okay, so by the same logic of Kirk Cousins not being fully confident and comfortable coming off of the injury to be in anything other than pistol shotgun, by that same logic, it brings you to the question of whether or not Michael Penix felt comfortable and confident enough doing so. Because let's be honest, it's in this playbook. Like you just showed us 29% of what Kirk Cousins did in New Orleans. So there must be a reason that we're not seeing it. So you confirmed that Kirk was not comfortable doing so last year. Okay, then what is stopping you from doing it with Michael Penix? Is it because Michael Penix is not yet comfortable in his own right to be under center with that play action to the extent it is? I definitely think people need to go listen to Zach Robinson's press conference that just happened literally an hour ago as we're sitting down. Wednesday, yeah. Like he was asked all of these questions, and I think that a big part of what he said, whether or not you agree with it, is that the Falcons felt that last year when they were up under center that it was one of their least effective plays. Like play action under center was one of their least effective plays in 2024. I think like my thing with that and my response to that, and now I'm about to get on a soapbox, is that the modern game, you have to have that as a wrinkle.
Yeah.
You have to figure out why it's not working. And let's be honest, if you felt like in 2024 that Kirk Cousins was not healthy enough to do some play action under center stuff, and you felt like maybe Michael Penix was not as efficient or comfortable doing so, that needed to have been more of a priority in Michael Penix's development, in my opinion. Because at a certain point, you have to develop Michael Penix in this wrinkle of the game to get the full extent of what you need to out of this offense.
Yeah, I think that phrase right there, the full extent, right, is there feels a little bit too much in one direction with Pistol, right? Mm-hmm. And the balance is ultimately where I think everything is most effective, because that is where you don't have these tendencies. Like right now, the Falcons have a very clear tendency with Pistol, right? So if I'm a defense, okay, well, that's what we got to prepare for. And yeah, you feel like you guys can run a lot of what you want to run out of that, but you can also run a lot of what you want to do under center. And to me, it would just be one more element that a defense would have to prepare for, which I'm big on. Like, how do you stress a team throughout Wednesday through Friday when they're trying to implement everything? Like, hours, there are only so many hours in a day. So give them as much stuff as they have to prepare for. And it feels like you are leaving a little bit maybe on the table there. That being said, and we talked a little bit about this on Falcons Final Whistle, is like, you just maybe look at how they came up, right? When Michael Penix Jr. was coming up through high school and probably lower than that, like, it's a passing first game. Yeah. They're doing 7-on-7. They're doing a lot of the shotgun stuff. So I do truly wonder if just the number of hours he has had at Washington, he's in shotgun like all of the time.
Yeah, and I get that too. And my response to that is kind of like, look at what the Rams are doing. Like, look at if we're looking at the Rams and what Matthew Stafford in particularly is doing, running their play action operation out from under center more than any other quarterback in the league right now and having the most success than any other quarterback in the league doing so. The Rams lead in play action rate and under center dropbacks. Colts and Bears are up there too. All of these teams are winning a lot of games. All of these teams have really good offenses in place. And who was the player comp for Michael Penix Jr. coming out of the NFL draft? Matthew Stafford. So Matthew Stafford is a true pocket passer. Matthew Stafford is somebody who loves to sling it downfield. Matthew Stafford loves a one-on-one with some of his receivers. Like, so if Matthew Stafford is the standard of what you need Michael Penix to be, then I think this part of the game, the under center play action stuff, has to develop. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Matthew Stafford. Like, if you look at just the usage of under center for quarterbacks this season, like, it's the best offenses.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Rams, it's Seattle, it's the Lions, it's the Bears, the 49ers, Packers, Patriots, like down the list, right? So it is very clear that at least maybe that is not, there's not maybe a causality there. Like, I'm not saying that the best offenses are the best offenses because they're running the most under center.
Yeah.
However, I think it illustrates the effectiveness of what some of that under center usage does for you. And that is just kind of where I think you're right. Like, having the player grow in that direction ultimately allows for more things. And one of the most interesting things that I think Zach said on Wednesday was last year they didn't necessarily expect them to be an 11 personnel team as much as they were. They kind of thought it would be more 12 personnel, one running back, two tight ends, which makes sense. You got Kyle Pitts, you got Charlie Warner, right? And I think we did see some of that evolution where maybe Kyle Pitts was out of the lineup or spread out wide as kind of that big wide receiver. And when you look at the Rams specifically, what they have been doing so well this season, and Seattle, frankly, is throwing the ball out of heavy looks. And we saw the Falcons do that against the Saints. A lot of 13 personnel with effective play action behind it. So that is where, if you're going to provide kind of like a play action look, which is inherently meant to fool a defense into thinking you're going to run the ball, it is probably best done out of a look where all of the other set dressing screams we're going to run the ball. We're under center, we have three tight ends on the field, and boom, there's a pass over top, right? And I just kind of think that to the eye, naturally, when a quarterback is in pistol, which looks like shotgun, you just kind of think pass a little bit. And the Falcons have been good at running the ball out of pistol this season, like the efficiency is there and all of that. It's just been the passing game hasn't seemed like there have been many easy completions or easy explosive plays in the way that, frankly, there were on Sunday.
Listening to y'all, it's just kind of like the next question that comes to mind is, why do you think that development hasn't been there or been done yet?
I think it's a great question, and I think it's something that Zach Robinson, Raheem Morris, kind of have to answer to. And I think that what I ultimately think about it is probably, I can't even say it's accurate. What it looks like from the outside looking in is that the Falcons decided early on with Kirk Cousins that he was not comfortable going under center.
Yep.
So they have verbatim said
for injury reasons. Yeah,
for injury reasons. So the operation, the installs, all of last year were to account for that. Well, then you get to the point at the end of the season where you bring Mike in. How much of even any type of under center work was Mike getting as the number 2 behind Kirk Cousins when the operation itself was not going anywhere close to being under center at a significant margin? So then you move into this off season and you're like, Michael Penix is a young guy. We know what he does well. We know that he wants to stretch the ball downfield, get it to the outside, all of those things. We know he worked a lot last year in pistol and shotgun. We know at Washington, shotgun, that's what he wants to do. That's what he feels comfortable with. In his first year as a starter, we're not going to make it too complicated. I think that to me is what happened.
Yeah.
Do I think that's right or wrong? No one gives a crap what I have to say about it, but I do think moving forward, and that's why this conversation that we're having right now, you've got to develop Mike to feel more comfortable in under center play action looks.
That would make sense that he was kind of learning what they were doing rather than everything that he could be learning.
Right. Yeah.
He's going with the playbook rather than the whole saga.
Yeah, there you go.
We were talking about the books earlier.
Yeah, is that 4 or 5? But I think it's also fair to point out too that when you're running a scout team offense, you're usually operating kind of different offensive looks, not always what the Falcons are going to be running. And we knew that Kirk got all of the first team reps pretty much last year because it was his first year working with Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Darnell Mooney and all of those guys. And when you look at just the timeline with which everything happened, when they kind of get in here in the offseason program in May, June, all of that, you gotta start installing your offense, right? You can't just wait for your quarterback to be fully healthy, and he was healthy enough to get out there on the field. So you say, all right, we're going to start you back in shotgun and pistol, where you're not having to put a lot of this strain on your Achilles. And so I think from there, what do we see in Pittsburgh, right? A lot of the pistol. They naturally kind of went back a little bit more under center with Kirk once he started kind of getting healthier. But then those final 3 games with Mike, it's not like we were going into the offseason really, really worried about the offense.
Right.
They did really well. So you could understand them saying, hey, look, what we have here works. What Mike did at Washington obviously got him to be the number 8 pick in the draft and the runner-up for the Heisman. So, it worked for him there. Let's just keep on doing it. And now you're seeing maybe where some of the deficiencies are or where you lack some of those other areas that are beneficial.
My last note on this, and this is, we can kind of move forward from here, but it really is now that Michael Penix is coming off of his 3rd ACL reconstructive surgery in 5 years, right? It's 5 years. Now that he is coming off of this, you're kind of right back a little bit to where you were
last year
with Kirk coming off of a season-ending Achilles injury. Obviously, different ligaments, different parts of the body, all those kind of things, but still
big injuries.
Very big injuries that have an effect on a quarterback's mobility and comfortability in the pocket. So how much of this conversation is even going to carry over into 2026?
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that we're going to be talking about, I think, for a while.
Definitely. Yep. So let's put a pin in that, and we will, I'm sure, return to it many, many times.
Oh, the quarterback.
But let's flip over and talk about the defense a little bit. A note that we brought up on Falcons Final Whistle was maybe this was the beginning of kind of a new evolution for Atlanta's defense.
Yep.
The Falcons blitzed at their lowest rate of the season, just over 15% against Tyler Shuck, but he faced a lot of pressure. They got 19 pressures and 5 sacks when only sending 4 or fewer. Terrin, why is that important for Atlanta's defense moving forward?
Because you love going back to the receipts. In week 6, Jeff Ulbrich said, I don't want to be a big pressure team. And we were all like,
what?
But you are.
You don't want to get pressure, my guy?
Right, this is who you are. What do you mean?
Weren't they number 1 in blitzing at the time or
They
something
were.
like
Oh,
that?
heck
And we
yeah.
were like,
by a large margin, too.
Like the offense was in pistol by like a large margin, and the Falcons were blitzing by like a large margin.
And I'm like, that's like me being like, I don't want to be a blonde.
Correct.
But you are.
Yeah.
So when Jeff said that, we were like, what do you mean? And he's like, I want us to rely on our front 4 to win and do their thing and play coverage behind it. He did admit Right now, we're just not quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Are they there?
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, it looked like it, but I guess it's kind of just seeing moving forward whether they can repeat that performance and be the defense that Jeff wanted.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to dye his hair.
Yeah, an interesting
Man,
point.
if he walked in with blonde hair, that'd be something.
Yeah. No, I think that a part of this that I've kind of been ruminating on for the last 4 or 5 days is, are we going to see it again versus the Jets? I think that there were some deficiencies along the Saints offensive line that maybe made this thought of sending only 4 easier, you can execute it at an easier rate because of some of the deficiencies with the Saints. You have a little bit of a better offensive line against New York. They have some good tackles. Are you going to be able to do it again? And I think to your point of the development of guys, I think that an interesting thought that I want to put out there to the people is that the Falcons have not been
I am people.
Gestures broadly to the empty
We the
room.
people.
Ooh.
Is there a realm where in the last 4 weeks without Divine Diablo that it kind of forced guys along the front 7 particularly to develop faster? And what I mean by that is without Divine Diablo, who you relied upon for a lot of pressures and for a lot point blank full stop, without him, did you have to see guys like Rook, Brandon Dorlus, Jalen Walker, JPJ, all of those guys step up a little bit to the point of when Divine Diablo came back 4 weeks later, you felt hey, we really don't have to send Divine on a blitz in order to get home. We have some guys up front who are winning.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the by committee approach Jeff Ulbrich was talking about all this time.
Yeah. Well, they rush as a unit. You can see it. Arnold Ebiketie or Leonard Floyd gets an inside push, and then you have James Pierce Jr. coming around behind them. That is, as much as that sack will go down as James Pierce Jr.'s sack, everything along that front 7 is all encompassing amongst the individuals. It's an organism.
Right. I was trying to go with what you were saying, how a lot of people stepped up when Divine was gone because they had to, and I was maybe that's the by committee, but I don't think that landed.
I mean,
replacing Divine by committee, the amalgamation of everything that he brings. I do think if you just look, they have way more dudes this year than I can ever remember them. How I remember when it was just Tack and Vic Beasley, right? And Adrian Claiborne is the third man off the bench, right?
Yeah.
But they have slowly just been adding pieces so you can rush in waves. And instead of one player being out there for 40 snaps, instead you're seeing the benefit of somebody who's out there for 30 snaps, 22 snaps, and they're just
fresh.
Bringing it every single. So it's not a surprise that you have a game where it's Brandon Dorlus, Rugeroro, Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr., all of these guys are getting involved instead of one player having 4 sacks.
Yeah. And I also think to that point, all of this is so indicative of acute development among these young defenders. And
you're saying acute development, not cute
not
development.
Cute
They're not getting cuter.
Not getting cuter,
Okay.
acute.
There you go.
Acute, rapid escalation of development.
Personality moments on the podcast.
I was I don't even know where to come in.
So right now, this week, Jalen Walker leads all rookies in sacks and forced fumbles. James Pierce Jr. quarterback pressures. Let's even throw in Xavier Watts with interceptions because what's happening on the back end affects what's happening in the front 7. They're all rookies.
Love a back end.
And the Falcons have rookies leading across the league in this category. This is Terry Fontenot's best draft. Full stop.
Yep.
I have no qualms. And as much as it sucks that Billy Bowman Jr. is going to be out for the rest of the year, what you have in Billy Bowman Jr. is something really good as well. Mm-hmm. He was doing some really, really good things. It's unfortunate that injuries piled up the way they did with him. But some of these guys, this has a ripple effect, I think, beyond this year. This has a ripple effect, I also think, even in game planning, in what you decide to do and what positions you put your defense in and
100%.
Whether or not you go for things on 3rd and 4th down. All of those things are topics of conversation that starts with what this defense does by way of getting after the quarterback.
Absolutely, and we're going to push here to topic 4, but I want to add one more note is Jess Stevens on our comms team was pulling up kind of the pass rushers from the last 2 years, right? Because I think it's fair to say Brandon Dorlus and Ruka Roro, are kind of pseudo rookies.
They are.
They didn't play a ton
especially-
last year.
I mean, they were healthy scratches for majority of, like, especially Brandon Dorless, majority of last season.
And now he's got 6 sacks this season, which is tied for the most among players taken last year and this year in the draft. So when you're looking at guys like Leatu Latu, Jared Verse, all the players that we were talking about in last year's draft, Brandon Dorless is right there with him. Jalen Walker is one behind those dudes. James Pierce Jr. is one behind. So it's like this whole class of first and second year defensive linemen has been simply amazing. So the Falcons obviously got a much needed win on Sunday against the Saints. It didn't really meaningfully, I think, change their playoff hopes in any way, but
proved them a little.
Keeps you alive, right? And so then when you have a week in which you're the only team in your division to win a game, okay, maybe those feelings get heightened a little bit. So really quickly, just want to run down kind of the schedules for Tampa, Carolina, and then Atlanta, because there's one is not like the other, I would say.
That's true.
Unfortunately, I think Tampa has kind of the easiest road left. They've got Arizona this weekend, New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, Miami, and then finishing up again with Carolina, right? That Atlanta's got at least a chance there to get a game back on Tampa, so that's good, but it seems like a pretty favorable schedule for Tampa. Carolina, different story. They got the Rams, then a merciful bye week, right? Then you got the Saints, the Bucks, Seattle, and the Bucks again. I mean,
That's a
Bucks,
tough
Seattle,
ending.
Bucks. Whew, that's a tough way to end it. Atlanta schedule real quick. Jets, Seahawks, Bucks, Cardinals, Rams, Saints. So a kind of a mix of both there, having Seattle and obviously LA with the Bucks. Those are going to be your 3 big games left. But what are kind of like the different permutations of how this could play out? And do we feel, looking at all of that, Tori, like how do we feel about the Falcons' chances?
Yeah, it still doesn't look good. You've played yourself into this position that you're in now where it doesn't look good, and it's going to take a lot for it to look better. What is interesting is that right now, as it stands, Tampa Bay is on a slide, and I think they've lost 5 of their last 6, if I'm doing the math right.
I didn't screen grab that far back.
But
I can't help you.
Last 3 in a row.
It's last 3 in a row for sure, and I think even before then it was a couple right before
their bye week.
their
but
bye
it was
week.
a couple right before
Yeah.
that.
So but that was also their toughest stretch of the season. They played the Bills, the Rams, the Patriots, like boom, 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 boom. Lost all of those. So you figure if you were going to have some losses by this Tampa Bay team, it was going to come during that stretch of games. And now you look at the rest of their slate, and it's like, well, they should arguably probably beat a lot of these teams. And then you look at Carolina, and it's like, yes, they still have the Rams, they still have the Seahawks. I feel like the Falcons and the Carolina Panthers are probably pretty even right now in terms of strength of schedule left. Unfortunately for the Falcons, because the Carolina Panthers own the tiebreaker over them, and unless something happens with the Carolina Panthers where they absolutely implode, and something happens with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers where they absolutely implode, like that's kind of what, I know it's not great to talk about, but that's kind of just where the Falcons find themselves right now.
Yeah. Terrin, taking it kind of a game at a time approach, like how could Sunday further alter the playoff picture for Atlanta and kind of their chances?
Right now, this time of year, we're hearing the 1-0 phrase a lot. Like, you just got to go 1-0. You just got to go 1-0. And that's all they can do if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. I mean, they're hanging on. It went from less than 1% to 2%, according to the New York Times simulator, after the win in New Orleans. You mess around with it, it doesn't ever get too high, regardless.
I don't think it can ever get above 76%, and that's if the Falcons completely win out.
Yeah.
That's higher than I thought it would be. To be honest.
I don't even think it's that high anymore.
Is
but
it not that high? That was on Sunday when I looked at it, so it may not be.
But regardless, like, it's crazy to say that because I feel like with how the Bucks have been going, the Panthers have been going, it's almost closer than it feels when you look at the standings themselves. I mean, the Bucks are 6-5, the Panthers are 6-6, the Falcons are 4-7, Saints are 2-9.
Love it. Say it again.
Saints are 2-9.
Yes.
The problem is that the Falcons have only beaten the Saints in NFC South play. Like that's what it is.
Part,
like let's
though,
be real. They've
Say it again.
Like
they're 3-1 in the NFC South.
Right.
Oh no, 1-3 in the
There you go.
NFC South. They wish they were 3-1
Wishcasting.
yeah.
in the NFC South. So even though the division itself looks like it's kind of getting a tighter picture, it's
Yeah,
a little
there's
too
still a
late.
lot
The
of
film's
work to do.
developing.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I like that.
Thank you. That was a lot better than the hair one.
The picture is crystallizing.
there you
Yeah.
go.
So let's talk about that 1-0, right?
Yep.
What do you got to do on Sunday to get a win against the Jets? And last week we kind of played a fun game about what do we need to see to feel like this team is not just capable of breaking their 5-game losing streak, but actually like building maybe something moving forward for the rest of the season. So kind of keeping that spirit alive, like what do we need to see on Sunday against the Jets to feel like, okay, they took the first step against the Saints. Now they're taking a little bit of a second step. Maybe ultimately it all comes too little too late, but you would like to feel better about this team as the season kind of continues along. So what do they need to do?
I think you need to come out fast start. I think that I would ideally like to see this team have take a lead into halftime. I don't think you have to, but I think it's a good idea to, because of the issues that we've seen them have in the third quarter, not being able to score, not really being able to get off the field, all of these things kind of bouncing off of one another and in this bad spiral of third quarter play, because that's what we saw against the Saints. Is you saw they got out to a good start, they were in a good place coming out of halftime, and then you let the Saints hang around, and then you get to the fourth quarter and oh look, it's a 1-score game. So for me, it's like, don't allow a team to hang around coming out of halftime. Put the foot on the gas if you're the Falcons in that third quarter. Let's see something different from you in that third quarter. If I can see that, I would feel more confident in what a win and what would constitute a success for this Falcons team, because then at that point you turn from just a win to a convincing win,
For sure,
to a
yeah.
decisive win.
So following along that, like
Yeah.
the Falcons have liked to take the ball and start the ball if they win the coin toss and just start on offense. Would you maybe want to see them change that strategy and defer and say, we'll take the ball in the second half to try to maybe recreate some of that energy that they've had at the start of games this year?
Potentially, but I'm not one that really thinks that it matters all that
You don't
much.
put all that stock
I really
okay.
don't. Like, I really think that it's up to you in the moment. Like, if you go out and your defense is playing well and your defense has a good stop in that very first drive of the second half, and you come out offensively and you go down and you score, okay, I don't care when it happens.
Just make it
personally.
happen.
Right, yeah.
All right, Terrin, what do you need to see?
You know what I'm gonna say? They just need to win.
That's why I like it, is you're like just straight, cut to the bone. What matters at the end of the day? Get that
Getting
done.
that win. I mean, Raheem Morris has said good teams pull out ugly wins. I don't like. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't. Would it be nice if it was clean? Yes, but at the end of the day, like the players say, we have to go 1-0. What I realized while you were talking, though, is the Falcons maybe should erase this issue they have with the number 3. Third quarter, third downs. They kind of fixed the field goals with 3 points. They only ran 3 plays in that third period in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, this is a lot.
Jesse Bates, noted problem.
Jesse Bates the third.
Oh,
Bates the
ooh,
third,
maybe that
3.
cancels it out.
I think it does.
Yep.
Is that
Yeah.
why he's that number?
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah. One thing that I'll add to this, and this isn't necessarily like they have to do this or like it's going to be indicative of a success or not, is like I do have some questions that I'm wanting answered in this game. We've alluded to it throughout the podcast. Offensively, it's what is the offensive game plan and how much are you going under center using play action off of that? Like, is that here to stay? Is that something that they're going to do with Kirk Cousins moving forward? It feels like potentially they are, but we don't know for sure yet. We only have one sample size of that, one game of sample size. And then defensively, it's can you continue to win by only sending 4?
Yep.
That is one of those things that was that something that they felt like they could take advantage of with the New Orleans Saints? Or is this something that is going to, again, like play action under center, something that's here to stay? Those are my 2 questions.
Basically, can you repeat what you just did?
Boom. Yeah. It's like it's a 1-game sample size. So like we're just really evaluating that one game,
Yeah.
but can you create a broader trend off of that?
Stack the wins and stack the
Trends.
trends.
There you go.
Thank you for the word.
Of course.
I was blanking.
Words. That's what we
Got
do
there.
here. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
Stack the wins, stack the trends.
Stack the Views. Go check us out on YouTube and download and like and subscribe and share it to everybody. Got the plug in there. What's up, Jared? Love me for that. All right, Pro Bowl voting, as a reminder one more time, is open now. So go, whether you do it on social, whether you do it on AtlantaFalcons.com, or you check out our QR code, which I'll let Jared put anywhere he wants to right now.
Yeah.
Please go do that. Everybody, again, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Have a great Thanksgiving weekend. That's one of my favorite parts about the holidays. It's on a Thursday, but it feels like it just rolls right into the weekend with all the college football games on Friday. I know you guys are going to be enjoying some of those festivities.
I'm going to clean old-fashioned hate, baby.
Heck yeah.
I'm super pumped. We'll be in Mercedes-Benz Stadium to watch the dogs in the jackets.
I'm tailgating, but I don't care who wins.
All right. Well, we got 2 dogs here, so let's go dogs.
Let's not forget the Iron Bowl.
No, let's forget
it. That's true.
The Iron Bowl is a big deal.
All right. We're going to get out of here. For Tori, McElhaney, and Terrin Waack, I'm Will McFadden. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you for Falcons Final Whistle on Monday, Falcons Audible, middle of the week next week, and, of course, Friday 5 next time. So see you all then.